show me what he had for me until a few years later. So I was in a few years of silence, just seeking him and learning to be loved by him and learning to love him fully. And so it was an interesting season. Joseph has always been my favorite story because I feel my life has really paralleled his. And so yeah, that's why, other than the prison thing, you didn't sign me into slavery. That you probably wanted to a few times. But yeah, that was definitely, it's my story.
Other than us being really mean.
Yeah. Okay.
For real.
It's kind of close to the same question, but what was it about Sing Me a Love Song? What was the story behind that one?
Sing Me a Love Song, that was at a place when we were writing. How do I explain this? The last few years for us girls has been very, very interesting. We told God we'd go wherever he wanted us to go. Because before this started, it's very dangerous. Let me tell you, as a dangerous prayer when you say, I will follow you for the sake of love.
Your life will never be the same.
Yes, just get ready.
And it'll be uncomfortable.
And nothing will be predictable. You can't predict anything.
That's right.
So, I'm telling you, it's been the most amazing thing I've ever done, but it's been the hardest thing I have ever done. And so we were in this season and just very, very discouraged about a lot of things in our life. And I remember just being like, oh, we want to give up. There's many days where we were like, we just want to throw in the towel. We just want to give up. And I just remember praying, and that verse in Psalms where David said, where he's talking to God and saying, where I didn't even know all your thoughts about me, just him saying, like, God has so many thoughts towards us, we can't even count them. We have no comprehension of what he thinks towards us and how much he thinks towards us. And I just had this picture of a mama singing over her baby. And just the songs we sing over our children as they're young, the songs we sing, and I was thinking, I bet God sings songs over us. Like, why wouldn't he? He's our dad. I bet he sings songs over each of us. And so we just sat down and just kind of taking that analogy of, I want to know the song you're singing over my life right now. Because here's me and here's us in the moment where we're ready to throw in the towel. What's the song you're singing? What's the song you're singing to our heart? We've got to hear it. Because I think if we knew the thoughts that he thinks towards us, or if we knew the songs he sings over us, we could stay in any place he puts us in. And so that's where we were at that time. And there's really, that's just the cry of our hearts. Any more questions? Okay, we'll do like these last two.
If you could speak to anyone from the biblical times besides Jesus, who would it be and why?
That's good. I like that.
How do you choose?
I know.
That is an impossible question. Okay, New or Old Testament?
Oh,
no. Maybe there or down.
Oh, give me a minute.
Okay. Well,
all of them. Can all of them be?
I'm gonna wish for more wishes right here, and there's two. I would love to talk to David. And I would love to talk to Simon Peter because I feel like he was mouthy like me, and I'd like to. But I also like because he was the first one to jump out of the boat, And so I think he was so passionate, and I think, but David would be good too. But Simon Peter, I think maybe I've related most with him in my life. So yeah.
I would go with Ezekiel, just to be like, come on, really explain these things to me. What exactly did you see? I think that would be really cool. And then also, I love Daniel. It's my favorite. And Ruth is pretty cool, but Daniel's better.
all the characters in the Bible.
We're here like 5 days later. I really like
I can't choose between a few, but Daniel and David are two favorite ones.
Whatever, I said
Daniel, because, how could you live in Babylon under a ruler that was not a believer and yet still maintain your integrity for your entire life? That he started well, but he finished even better. How did Daniel maintain his integrity and yet still lead a kingdom by staying on his face? That to me is so powerful and a piece that I really desire to learn. And then David, he's always been one of my favorite characters. I think he was chosen to be king because of the romance he had with God. And that is always my heart, that my romance with God would be number one. And that out of our intimacy with God would flow our ministry. That it can't be ministry first, then intimacy. It's got to be intimacy, and then ministry being the overflow. And I think both of those men really, and for men, to capture that. You know, a lot of times it's the women in the church that are the, oh, I'm going to romance with God and I'm intimate with him as my beloved, but men are the bride of Christ too, and I think those men really were manly enough to say, hey, I'm the bride of Christ and I will be intimate with him. And yeah, so I love that. King Herod. No, just kidding. No one would ever change King Herod. That was a joke.
I can't ask her, but I'm laughing over that. Do you have any advice for the girls this age as they're hitting this season in their life and there's the worldly temptations and the dating and all their friends who might not be necessarily walking the same walk are talking about boys and all that, and them kind of, you know, holding on and keeping their hearts pure, you know, until their heart is ready to actually not just be in that kind of, you know, not serious dating relationships?
Yeah. Well, we'll start off by saying I'm 25, she's 28, and she's going to be 31 in a couple weeks. Yay! In a week. The 24th, whatever it is. Couple weeks. Couple is 2. I win. Yes, couple weeks. And we've never... It's 2, yes. I was homeschooled, I know. And we've never had boyfriends before. We have never even held a guy's hand. We've never been kissed. It's just... That is something, yeah. Yes! Because God asked us to fall in love with him first. And he said, girls, I want you to be willing to look silly and to be made fun of by all of your friends and to lose friends. Because I want you to fall in love with me first, because you have something greater on your life than what everybody else is doing. And we all have that calling. I'm not saying that we're all not supposed to rise. All are called, yeah, all are called, but few are chosen. And if we're willing to put aside the things of this world, to ask God what he has for us, your life is amazing. This world has nothing to offer us compared to what God has to offer us in our life. But it will be uncomfortable. And I do not regret one day, and I know us girls don't regret one day that we've never gone on a date with somebody. Because I only want to date my future spouse. Because my heart belongs to one person. And one person alone, and right now God is holding our hearts, and I think he will always hold our hearts, because, you know, even when you're married, you still have to go to God for that love. But I think dating just kind of sets everybody up for divorce. I think that's what it is, because when you're done with that, then when you're done in a marriage, you just move on. But God wants to show each and every one of us what true love is now in our single years, and I think sometimes like, oh, but I need to get fulfilled right now. I need to know that a guy thinks I'm beautiful or a girl thinks I'm hot, whatever, for you guys. But God's words are so much more fulfilling than anything that anybody could ever say to us. It shouldn't matter how many heads we turn. It shouldn't matter what people think about us. We need to be going to God for our definition. And I know sometimes that seems really far-fetched. And like, oh, well, you girls, it's just different for you. You don't understand. Yeah, we're attracted to guys, people. I think a lot of people are like, oh, you must not be attracted to guys. You must live in a cave to live the way you do. No, it's a journey and it's a struggle, but God will give you strength when you commit your life to him and you give him your dreams and you give him those things that you need. He will fulfill you. So I just encourage everybody, guys and girls, find out what God says about you and find out what God thinks about you and go to him for your definition and be willing to look silly and be willing to look foolish. And if it's ever really hard and if you're ever getting made fun of, remember us girls, because even though we're in a rock band on stage and it might look cool, we still get made fun of a lot because of our stance, and a lot of people tell us, well, you'll never get married. But when you fall in love with God and you follow him with your life, he is a faithful God. And he will show us who we're supposed to marry. Well, 3 guys, not one. The 3 different guys that he has for us in his timing. But right now, he is the love of our life. And he holds our heart. And he fulfills us. And I think our life is totally different because of that choice that we have made in our life. And if you're willing to step out, God will reward you. And he will give you the strength to keep holding on.